It's a wonderful day in the homiehood, a wonderful day for a homie. Won't you be my homie to Taro? This is a test that has been going around on Twitter. I saw a couple of people doing it. It's just for funsies, but also it's very, very important that we do well on this test. It's the socialism test. I have no idea what it's about, but you know it's a socialist test because they got a fist here holding a rose. Socialism is a political and social philosophy centered around social ownership of the means of production. This test combines the insights of several prior efforts to research socialism to bring you a single composite test that measures agreement with socialism across 6 different domains. Oh, damn. They got socialism in 6 domains now. To what extent do you agree with socialism? For each of the following statements, indicate your level of agreement below. The free market is the most efficient way of organizing the economy known to man. Okay, so they're saying known to man. Like there might be a way unknown to man that is even better than the free market. So how do I okay, so we got 4 options here. Or wait, 5. So do I disagree or strongly disagree? Um I guess strongly disagree. Free market for life, said like the most socialist person I know in chat. Um I don't know. I guess strongly disagree. I mean like because like in a way I believe in the free market, but we don't really have a free market. You know, like we have like a rigged economy. So I'm just going to go like regular amount of disagree. Economic equality should be one of the government's most important goals. Okay, strongly agree. Government spending with the aim of creating jobs is generally a good idea. Yeah, I'll strongly agree with that as well. It's not efficient to have several companies all making the same tire, the same wrench, the same cable, etc. So the government should step in to coordinate their efforts. So, I agree with this sentiment for a lot of things. Um, but not for everything, I feel like there's a place for companies to have competition, but for some things like that are like critical infrastructure like transportation, like Uber, I would definitely want that to be something that's like the government steps in to coordinate. So I'm going to just say agree, but maybe not strongly disagree. Economic growth will help better Economic growth will better help people climb out of poverty than welfare. Um Economic growth will better help people climb out of poverty than welfare. Like I believe in it's welfare is such a like a loaded term, Like I already feel like I have like a pre-existing bias against this word welfare. So I like do I believe in like a universal basic income? Yes. In under certain conditions, right? Like conditions that make universal basic income like a very distant goal. Um like we would need to like have like ten systems be more equitable for universal basic income to be good. So economic growth will better help people climb out of poverty than welfare. I agree, but then like that for me the economic growth is coming from socialism though. So I don't know, is this I'm trying to like understand like what the test is even saying. I think socialism is good for economic growth. Having like democracy be part of economic growth is good. So I'm going to agree. I might even strongly agree, but I'm worried that the test is kind of trying to say that economic growth is capitalism and welfare is socialism, you know? RJ Helms, that's the problem with these kind of quizzes. My answers to this one is like I reject the question, yeah. So like maybe just to answer faithfully, I would say agree. But I believe like socialism would be better for economic growth than capitalism. So strongly agree, I guess. If you choose strongly agree, you will get a picture of Margaret Thatcher and your stream will get shut down. That's fine. It is the government's responsibility to provide its citizens with housing. So I mean, yeah, strongly agree. I mean, it's like housing should be more equitable and like one way or another the government has to provide the housing, right? Um whether because like they have to encourage people to build the housing under our current system. It'd be nice if there was, a more universal public housing initiative, but agree. Strongly agree. Producing luxury goods that are merely playthings for the rich may be justified if doing so leads to innovation that may also benefit the poor. Producing luxury goods that are merely playthings for the rich may be justified if doing so leads to innovation that may also benefit the poor. May. This may is doing a lot of work. So that are merely playthings. If they're merely playthings, then how would they benefit the poor? I'm going to disagree. Since women comprise, you got 96.67%. Nobody's perfect, I guess. V from TO. Yeah, sorry, but unfortunately, we're going to have to kick you out of our Discord now. It's just not, you didn't pass the 100% pure socialist test. We appreciate you, subscribing to the channel and everything, but I'm sorry. It's just not enough. I'm just kidding, obviously. Since women comprise half of the world's population, it is only natural that women should possess half of the world's wealth. Um uh yeah, agree, sure. The government should help those who are unemployed find a job that will suit them. RJ Helms got 75.83%. Wow. Not only are you kicked out of the Discord, but you have to stand against the wall. Okay. Just kidding. In Minecraft. Uh the government should help those who are unemployed find a job that will suit them. I mean, yeah, that sounds like a great thing for the government to do. Like, if agree, yeah. Healthcare is a right that the government owes its citizens. Yeah, strongly agree. There should be no such thing as private ownership of business. Hmm. Private ownership. Now, what happens if it's like collectively owned by the workers? Is that different than being private? I think I'll just slightly disagree just because like I feel like, or wait, you can be neutral. I forgot, I haven't done anything neutral yet, but that's probably okay. Should be no such thing as private ownership of business. I guess I'll disagree. Yeah. Oh wait, this is agree. There should be no such thing. Okay, yeah, agree. People will not work hard in countries where they cannot get rich from their work. This is stupid. Strongly disagree. People will not work hard in countries. Uh I mean, people will work hard in countries where they cannot get rich from their work. I'm so confused. I'm already not working hard. Yeah, like if you can't get rich, I mean, people work to meet their basic necessities, right? So, yeah, define rich. It's like, yeah, I would work hard if it meant I had to like feed myself and my family. I don't think, you know, who here in Canada is working hard and getting rich. My understanding is that we're all working hard and not getting rich. Luxury goods should not be produced until every member of society is fed, housed, and clothed. What the hell? Um, like we can work towards those things, but also we should create luxury goods, I think too. Like a farmer works hard and it doesn't make a load of cash all the time. Yeah, exactly. It is a very weird idea that hard work equals money. I think that is kind of just like a myth. I work hard as a streamer every day and I'm not making any money, all right? Luxury goods should not be produced until every member of society is fed, housed, and clothed. I mean, like, I wouldn't take such a strong stance on this. I would say, yeah, we should focus more on society meeting people's basic needs than producing luxury goods. So I guess I'll agree. The market is generally better at allocating resources than the government. I will strongly disagree. The market sucks. But the government also sucks. The unequal power relations between business owners and workers in a capitalist economy are inherently exploitative. Yeah, I strongly agree, obviously. The government should not meddle in economic affairs by dictating a minimum wage, mandatory retirement age, and so on. Yeah, the government should not interfere when people are being it's bad enough that we all have to get exploited as adults, but I think we should also be exploiting children and geriatrics till the day that they die, for even less money because minimum wage is not regulated. So yeah, strongly disagree with this. Government should not meddle in economic affairs. So yeah, that's just a disagree. These quizzes always confuse me with the double negatives, right? So this is saying by disagreeing, I'm saying the government should meddle. Okay, yes. The production of goods and services should not be determined by whether or how much people are willing to pay for them, but by whether people have need of them. The production of goods and services should not be determined by whether people are willing to pay for them, but by whether people have need for them. Uh, I don't. I guess I don't know enough about economic theory to know like what they're getting at here. They're saying the production of goods and services. If people are willing to pay for them, that's the demand. So the goods and services is the supply, but they're saying it shouldn't be governed by demand based on price, but by need. Is this socialism? Is this like under socialism there will be no things that you want, only things that you need? Um I don't know. I'm just going to go neutral on this. Socialism contains multitudes. Yeah. So general who needs a video game console? Yeah, basically like are you trying to take my video games away under socialism? Cuz like I don't think that's going to be very popular. Also good morning uncivil engineer. I'm just going to go neutral on this cuz like I don't even know. Like we should still have video games under socialism. Inheritance is not a legitimate form of wealth. Hmm. This is kind of an interesting idea. As someone whose like entire life is basically going to be dependent on inheriting wealth from an older generation. Oh, but I understand like there should like again, this goes back to the socialism contains multitudes. Like if I'm inheriting like, which in the large scheme of things is like not that much from my relatives upon their passing, but if it's like billions of dollars, um then I think it should get like redistributed, you know? So inheritance is not a legitimate form of wealth. But then this doesn't this also put an emphasis on people like, you know, like your parents work their entire life, and then it's basically, it would also force you to work your whole life. So it's like it depends on which like class you're in. Neutral. There should be no such thing as private ownership of land. I agree with that. I think private ownership of land is like one of the main problems that we face uh in colonial Canada. If by some miracle, like my private ownership of land, of which I've been engaged with for like a year, if there was some sort of movement to repurpose the land, I'd be in favor of that. There are certain kinds of luxury goods currently in production that should be not produced at all. I mean, I don't know. Neutral. These questions are really, but if there's no specifics, like what certain kinds, um, probably, there's, yeah, I guess so, probably. Women and minorities cannot truly be themselves while they live in a society run by white men. So okay, this is weird. I didn't think like so far idpol has not really crept into the questions. So cannot truly be themselves while they live in a society run by white men. I mean, we're talking about socialism versus capitalism. If all the white men were like socialists, like actually socialists, I think they women and minorities could truly be themselves. I don't think the fact that they're white um or men would necessarily matter, um depending what their ideology is, right? So neutral, because I mean this question is so loaded because it's basically saying like white men are bad, right? Um it needs to be equally men and women. I don't think you could answer this and it would reveal anything about the if you're a socialist or not. So neutral, I guess. All credit and loans should be centralized in banks owned and controlled by the state. It needs to be equally men and women. Well, yeah, I agree. But we also know that like women and women of color can be capitalists as well, you know? Like we can't just like girl boss our way uh to equality. Not just white men, it's saying that there isn't equal representation. Okay, true. All right, yeah, maybe I should go back. All right, then I'll agree. It's not equal right now, and it shows. Okay, yeah, yeah. So I do agree. I agree with that. Like, I think I just wish the question was framed better. Like, if it was this was about equal representation and not doing identity politics with the implication that white men are bad and women and minorities um cannot truly be themselves. Okay, but I see what they're getting at. Okay, so agree. All credit and loans should be centralized in banks owned and controlled by the state. That sounds really scary. Um, but the alternative is for it to be owned and controlled by corporations. So agree. The government should provide a guaranteed minimum income to its citizens free of charge. Free of charge. What? What is the? What are they gonna do? Charge you for the income? Excuse, if you want this $1,000 a month, that's gonna be $800. I guess agree, but with a lot of strings attached. Traditional gender roles are to a large degree determined by natural evolutionary processes and or higher power. I don't know what this has to do with socialism. Traditional gender roles are to a large degree determined by natural evolutionary processes. Strongly disagree. The government should coordinate and control all aspects of economic production. I guess like agree with a lot of transparency. Um art, true. I don't know. This meme seems one that's where it's like it's so broad. Um Control, it depends like what you mean by control, coordinate and control. I mean, in like to some degree, like if you sell a painting, right? Like the government is collecting tax. Does that mean it's coordinated and controlled? Or is this saying that like you literally live in like a state that is like a police state, where everything you do is like being monitored? Or so I don't know. Neutral. There should be no such thing as a privately owned newspapers, television stations, or social media platforms. This is again, like I think there could be, if everything was owned by the state, you would have potentially people being unable to criticize the state, right? So privately owned, I think that implies that it could be publicly owned. So I will agree. Nationalize. Nationalize my homie Tutaro. True. I know this. So I think I believe in this as long as you're still able to criticize the state, right? And you could, it could be publicly owned. I guess the question is like, if you were a cooperative, for example, does that count as, yeah, it feels like a trap. I know. Does it count if it's like a collectively owned? Does that still count as private ownership if it's like a cooperative? So I don't know. Agree. The government should work to reduce all inequalities based on race, gender, class, age, and religion. Yeah, that I can agree. Soviet style state runs everything socialism. If you were a tanky, you'd be all about these things. Yeah, true. I know. I got questions though. I'd pick the state over corporations. But if we were talking Ford, he's basically an evil corporation. True. I mean, there's a lot of questions that I got for these questions. Using brain imaging or genomic sequencing to legitimize race or gender stereotypes can never be scientifically justified. Wait, what? Using brain imaging or genomic sequencing to legitimize race or gender stereotypes. Are they talking about eugenics? Can never be scientifically justified. Agree. A society as a whole gets more wealthy. As society as a whole gets more wealthy, wealth will eventually trickle down from rich to the poor, even in a capitalist economy. Strongly disagree. This is stupid. The only way it trickles down is through revolution. There is at heart a conflict between the interest of private business and the interest of society. Yeah, agree. Finish. All right, let's see. Results. 82.5%. This I feel like this is pretty good, Trickle down the Roy trickle down trickle down theory didn't age well. It really didn't. We're still waiting on some trickling. So my number one thing is socialized profits. And I guess the thing I'm least socialist on is needs oriented production because I like video games. All right. I want to play Hogwarts Legacy, even though I don't need to. And I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna play Hogwarts Legacy. All right. Don't at me. Um, collective ownership. Um, also pretty up there. Equity, social justice is up there. I would say, I believe in like a lot of these things. But some of the trick questions may have accounted for that. Welfare programs, like the thing is, like I think I prefer. I don't know if was it including universal basic income as a welfare program or not. Needs oriented production doesn't mean you don't get your treats. It doesn't. Um, but this is like it's just saying we should produce things based on need, not on desire, right? Is that not what this symbolizes, or am I missing something? And planned economy. So, explanation of these elements. Collective ownership is of the means of production is the core tenet that unites all forms of socialism. So, um, that was pretty much up there. Social justice refers to the view that all members of society should have equal access to opportunities, regardless of intersectionality. Equity may be perceived as the political prioritization of opening doors to those who are underprivileged. Planned economy. Actually, I don't really know about this planned economy. In a planned economy, production and services, and sometimes also prices, are determined by public councils instead of leaving these factors up to the market. According to socialists, the planning imposed by a central body, our bodies, will often be superior to and more efficient than leaving these things up to market forces. Oh, it just means that people come before profits. Okay, I'm a learn today. Socialized profits. I feel like that's pretty obvious. Just that the idea that profits from economic production will be distributed among all members of society equally. Needs oriented production. Okay, this is what we're learning about. Planned economy and needs oriented production were the ones that tanked your score. Many socialists believe that production should be guided by equality and the needs of the many. Hence, the manufacture of goods in a socialist economy should be regulated to ensure that basic needs are met first. This prevents purchasing imbalances, such as the rich splurging on expensive articles of consumption in economies where the poor cannot afford 3 meals a day. So is this like, so would like tax the rich kind of fall under this, because it means that rich people basically are forced to reinvest in the economy that would then therefore meet the needs of majority of people. To you, tax the rich is socialized profits. Right. Then what is needs oriented? Like what would be like a real world example of needs oriented production? Um like how do you prevent this purchasing imbalance between the rich splurging and poor people affording 3 meals? Regulating the economy. I don't know. This seems like these are all kind of tied in. Welfare programs. Socialists generally favor wide and extensive public welfare programs to provide food, housing, education, and basic income to the populace. This can allow people to dedicate themselves to human flourishing without the stress associated with having to care for one's basic needs. Okay, so I could be a better socialist according to this test, but Apparently I have to kick myself out of my own Discord now and possibly just my own stream. But I mean, I think the important thing also is obviously there's no real litmus test for being a socialist, but it can be fun to do a quiz like this. The important thing is that you are grappling with the ideas. You know, like it's important to think critically, and obviously we can't all put each other into the socialism box in a quiz. Especially when there's so much nuance when it comes to being a leftist or a socialist or a communist, whatever you want to say. So the important thing is that if you do the quiz, it and you get over 50%, that means you're not a liberal, okay? And that means you can stay in our Discord and in our stream. No nuance, my socialism good, your socialism bad. Yes, true. There's a lot of bad socialists out there. It's true. Speaks to how unhelpful these labels are as well. Yeah, that is another thing. Like part of what has become my kind of political, I don't know, philosophy, but I guess you could say praxis is not putting people in these boxes, because I think you get into so much trouble and it's really hard to like movement build when you're like, hey, you're a liberal, you're a social democrat, you're a socialist, you're a democratic socialist, you're a communist, you're a Marxist Leninist. And then there's like all of these different things, none of which are like very well represented in mainstream politics, and all of this like infighting going on um over like theory and scraps and things that will not become a realistic uh part of our established political system. So it's important to be open-minded and be in solidarity with each other. It's something that we lack, and admittedly, like, you know, we are pretty easily divided. It can be a bit disheartening sometimes to be on the left, because we fall victim to things like Harry Potter, Harry Potter discourse, where no one is a winner. I guess that means equity, social justice, right? We need it's very important that either everyone is able to afford buying Hogwarts Legacy, or nobody is able to afford buying Hogwarts Legacy. That's my final hot take.